The committee is considering, as you know, the nomination of Christopher Wray to be the 8th Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Mr. Wray, congratulations to you and your family on your nomination. This is an important day for you, your family, and most importantly, this is an important day for the country, considering the importance of the FBI and law enforcement in America. So I welcome you, Mr. Wray, and your family to the committee. The ranking member and I will give opening statements. Then Senator Nunn will introduce the nominee. Mr. Wray will then give his opening statement and introduce anybody that he wants to that's here to support him and people that aren't here supporting him as well. And then after his opening statement, we will turn to questions. As an accommodation to the minority's request, we will have 10-minute rounds for questions during the first round rather than the normal 7. The director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation is charged with running a vast agency with tremendous power. This power, if used appropriately, could threaten the civil liberties of every American, or if it's used inappropriately, I should have said. However, when used appropriately and subject to rigorous oversight by Congress, it protects the nation from terrorists, from spies, and from hardened criminals. The Attorney General is commonly referred to as the top law enforcement officer in our country. The FBI Director serves the Attorney General as the top cop on the street. It is a very demanding job that requires keen understanding of the law, sound management skills, calmness under significant pressure, and a very level head. From what I've seen so far from meetings with Mr. Wray and from looking at his record, he appears to possess these qualifications. He has an impressive legal career, graduating from Yale University and Yale Law School, and clerked for a judge of the Fourth Circuit, also spending many years as an assistant U.S. attorney, and was on the front lines in cases involving violent crime, drug trafficking, public corruption, and fraud. During his time as a prosecutor, he often worked closely with the FBI. While there in that position, Mr. Wray received the department's highest award for public service and leadership. In 2003, Mr. Wray was unanimously confirmed by the United States Senate to lead the criminal division of the Department of Justice as Assistant Attorney General. In that role, he led and managed over 400 prosecutors and 900 total employees in nearly all areas of federal criminal law. There, too, he worked closely with federal law enforcement partners and key senior officials at the FBI. Of course, it's vitally important for the FBI director to be independent. In reviewing his record, I've seen Mr. Wray's commitment to this independence. He prosecuted little guys and big guys, as we tend to separate people in our society, including a Major League Baseball player, gun traffickers, and RICO violators. He prosecuted folks on both sides of the political spectrum, including folks working on a Republican campaign. While at the Department of Justice, he oversaw the task force that investigated Enron. This investigation led to convictions to several Enron executives. Mr. Wray has earned the strong bipartisan support of over 100 former U.S. attorneys across the country, including former Attorney General Eric Holder and other appointees of President Clinton and President Obama. And I'll enter at the end of my statement, without objection, letters of support for Mr. Wray. The top priority of the FBI is to protect the national security of the United States. The director of the FBI needs to be effective, needs to be accountable when practicing protecting our nation from terrorism, against foreign intelligence threats, and against cyber attacks and high technology crimes. The gravity of this responsibility is clear when we remember the scores of Americans and others killed or wounded in many terrorist events on U.S. soil following the tragic event September 11th, 2001. ISIS and other international terror groups have directed or inspired terrorist attacks in Fort Hood, Boston, San Bernardino, Orlando, St. Cloud, New York City, Columbus, and I suppose other places that we tend to and shouldn't forget. Tend to forget, but shouldn't forget. Uniformly, these terrorist attacks on the United States soil show the FBI must have the tools it needs to protect against and investigate terrorism and other serious violent crimes in the homeland. And these tools must preserve civil liberties while being adapted to changing threat streams and advances in technology. Chief among these tools is the FISA Section 702 authority. This authority provides the government the ability to collect the electronic communications of approved foreign intelligence targets outside the United States with the compelled assistance of American companies. Section 702 received the strong support of Bush, Obama, and now the Trump administration, and it's up for reauthorization at the end of the year. Many federal courts, the Federal Intelligence Surveillance Court, and the Privacy and Civil Liberties Oversight Board have found Section 702 constitutional and consistent with the Fourth Amendment. But the FBI does face questions about its queries of Section 702 information and the impact on privacy and civil liberties. In addition, the FBI must also have the tools it needs to navigate the going dark problem as more and more terrorists and criminals use encryption. I look forward to hearing how Mr. Wray plans to handle these national security issues and protect the American people and uphold the Constitution of the United States in keeping with the FBI's mission. Of course, everyone here knows that I care about whistleblowers and whistleblower protections. In December, President Obama signed the FBI whistleblower protection bill that Senator Leahy and I worked together to pass. The law clarifies that FBI employees who make disclosures to supervisors are protected. Unfortunately, there are still a lot of problems with the whistleblower protection process. Unlike other law enforcement agencies, the Justice Department doesn't allow FBI agents to get an independent judicial review of retaliation claims. It concerns me that the department and the FBI hasn't worked with us on the legislation to fix that. FBI whistleblowers need the support of their leadership to ensure that there is a speedy and effective way to resolve their cases. I'd like the assurance from Mr. Wray that whistleblowers will not face retaliation. Some of his predecessors have done a poor job of protecting whistleblowers. At the FBI oversight hearing on May 3, I said that a cloud of doubt hangs over the FBI's objectivity. The previous director, James Comey, said that the people at the FBI don't give a rip about politics. But Mr. Comey installed as his deputy director a man whose wife ran for the Virginia State Senate and accepted almost $1 million from the Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe's political machine. That's a lot of money for one state Senate seat. Governor McAuliffe is a longtime friend and fundraiser for the Clintons and the Democratic Party. Deputy Director Andrew McCabe met in person with Governor McAuliffe about his wife's political plans. His official FBI biography was used in setting up the meeting, and the goal was for McAuliffe to close the deal and get his wife to run for office. The Office of Special Counsel is reviewing whether that coordination was a violation of the Hatch Act, which prohibits partisan political coordination by FBI officials. The Inspector General is reviewing whether Mr. McCabe should have been recused from the Clinton investigation based upon Mr. McCabe's financial ties to the Clinton political network. Mr. McCabe was also named in a sex discrimination lawsuit by a female FBI agent who alleged retaliation. Just last week, it was reported that Lieutenant General Michael Flynn wrote a letter in support of the female agent. That means Lieutenant General Flynn is an adverse witness to Mr. McCabe in a pending proceeding. Yet Mr. McCabe supervised a criminal investigation of Flynn and allegedly wanted it pursued very aggressively. According to press reports, 3 FBI employees personally witnessed McCabe making disparaging remarks about Flynn before and during the Russian investigation. Yet Mr. McCabe never recused himself from the Flynn investigation. His failure to do so calls into question whether he has handled that investigation fairly and objectively. I have asked the Inspector General to add this to their ongoing review. The Director of the FBI is entrusted with a tremendous amount of power. That power is subject to appropriate checks against the abuse of our civil liberties. The Director is accountable to his leadership and to the people elected representatives. That's why the FBI Director has a 10-year term limit and why there are no restrictions on the ability of any president to fire any director, as President Trump did former Director James Comey. The term limit is a ceiling, not a floor. And while independence from partisan influence is critical, and this committee intends to closely examine the circumstances of Mr. Comey's firing, history shows that the 10-year term limit isn't there to protect the FBI Director from politicians or politics. It's there to help prevent the FBI Director from overreaching or abusing power. For more than 50 years, the FBI was run by J. Edgar Hoover, arguably the most independent FBI director in history. The very people charged with constraining his power were targets of his secret files. So were the Americans whose civil liberties were trampled by the COINTELPRO program and Hoover's own illegal abuses. Yet the FBI building still bears his name, just as the Bureau bears the weight of his ugly legacy. But in America, the people rule, not the police or the military. Vigorous oversight by elected officials is both the executive and legislative branch is essential to protect that liberty. I've been doing vigorous oversight work of the FBI for my entire career on this committee. As long as I'm chairman, I will continue to ask important questions and expect honest answers on behalf of the American people. Just yesterday, we had a hearing in the Crime Subcommittee that illustrated the long history of Congress exercising its constitutional authority to do oversight, including ongoing criminal and intelligence matters. Sometimes we cannot talk public about all the details of our work, although we strive to be as open as possible. Some people have argued that oversight of ongoing investigations is somehow interference. This ignores the importance of our work to ensure transparency and accountability, and of course, it ignores history. This committee has received detailed information about ongoing criminal matters and foreign intelligence surveillance activity in the past, and we will continue to seek that information. That's what oversight and accountabilities are all about. In the past, the FBI has resisted accountability to Congress and has been unresponsive to our letters. And I know for sure about my letters. Mr. Wray, you and I have spoken about this problem, and I expect you to change this practice at the FBI. I would like an assurance from you that you will be responsive to my oversight work and that my questions and documents requests will be taken seriously and answered in a timely and complete manner, and some of my questions with you in my 10 minutes will pursue this point. So once again, I thank Mr. Wray for his willingness to return to public service, and I look forward to a full and candid conversation with him today.